Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm here to talk to you about audiobooks because I'm pretty much an expert on them at this point. They are my life, a lot of my waking hours. So I just want to talk to you about like how I listen to books, what type of books I listen to, how I use audiobooks to kind of like get me through slumps, or just in general, my listening experience with books. The first thing that I would like to address is listening to audiobooks counts as reading books. And I know this is just my opinion, so you can feel free to disagree with me, but for some reason a lot of people don't think or don't know if audiobooks count towards your Goodreads goal, or if listening to a book counts as reading a book. It does. I don't really know why it wouldn't, just because you have the stigma of like you're not actually physically looking at the words on the page, but you're still consuming the media. Like if somebody asks you a question about the story, you could answer it, right? Because you've heard the story. It doesn't really matter if it went in your ears or in your eyes. In my opinion, you are still absorbing it. Even though somebody is technically reading it to you, you have technically consumed the story. Are you with me? Is that just me? Am I the only person who gets frustrated every time somebody's just like, I don't really count audiobooks towards my Goodreads goal because I didn't actually read it? I'm like, what did you do with it then? You just listen to it and poof, it's gone. Story's gone forever. Okay, that was a tangent. I got it out of my system. I feel better now. Moving on to actual information about audiobooks and not just my opinions about them. So a lot of people kind of struggle getting into audiobooks because they can't really get into the narration or the voice actors or what have you. And I am here to say narration definitely counts, 100%. I have definitely turned off audiobooks because the narrator just did not click with how I thought the character would sound, or I just don't think it fit the tone of the story, or their voice was just really annoying. That exists. There are definitely some voice actors out there where I'm just like, was that the best choice for this person? I don't think so. But the narration also can make such an amazing experience. This is going to be a controversial thing because I know there's very strong opinions going both ways on this series, but I personally adore the narrator for the Raven Cycle audiobooks. He is a very southern sounding, really deep, raspy voice, and for some reason it just really fits the tone of the story for me. It kind of sets you right in Cabe's water, and it gives you more of an ominous feel like the story already gives you. I think it personally just adds a little bit more, but a lot of people just could not get in with that, so I understand. Some people don't mesh with the narrators. So yes, narration definitely matters. Don't really feel bad if you're not gonna mesh well with the voice actor on an audiobook, because I have definitely turned off many an audiobook because I just could not get into it. In my case, a lot of those were like middle grade books because they try really hard to do voices for all of the characters, and for some reason that just read the story, man. You don't need to make up different voices for every single character. It kind of takes me out a little bit, but I understand the appeal for your younger audience. In that same vein, for me personally, narration kind of ceases to matter, or should I say, how the voice actor chooses to read the book ceases to matter once you reach my level of audiobook obsession. So I've been listening to audiobooks for years now. Like, my last job that I had 4 or 5 years ago, we were allowed to wear headphones, so I flew through audiobooks. I listened to at least a book a day, so that was how I really met my Goodreads goals. But some were definitely very monotone, some just read really slowly, and I'm a very fast reader to begin with, like when I'm actually physically reading a book, so I really struggled when we would hit really climactic, like war battle scenes, and the person's still reading like this. And then they drew their sword and stabbed it into the back. Like, come on, man, pick up the pace when it's really exciting. You kind of gotta like get excited about the story. So my solution to that was discovering that you can in fact change the speed. On a lot of audiobook programs, you can increase the speed, usually by increments of 0.25 or 0.5, and it makes a world of difference. Now, like I said, I've been listening to audiobooks for a very long time, and I've been steadily increasing the speed over many years. So I'm one of those insane people who listens to audiobooks at like 2.5 to 3 times the speed, as in they're literally reading the book 3 times faster than a normal person is speaking. I know, it doesn't sound like English. Whenever I have it just like playing out loud, I have all my audiobooks on my phone. So whenever I just have my phone sitting somewhere and I'm listening to a book without headphones in, someone will walk into the room and be like, "What? That's not a language. That is just gibberish being spouted out of your phone." And I'm like, no, trust me, it works. My personal experience with that was over the course of a couple months, I kind of would increase it by 0.25. And it takes a little bit of adjusting to get used to, but once you kind of get into that, it's hard to go back down. Like once you're used to that speed of listening, when you slow it back down to a normal speed, it sounds like it's in slow motion and it's ridiculous. So I would do that. I went up to like 1.25 to 1.5 and I would listen at that speed for a couple weeks and then try increasing it more. So with that being said, I use multiple programs to listen to audiobooks. So when I discovered Overdrive, it changed my life. Overdrive is a program that works with your library system, so you can just borrow books straight to your phone, download it, listen to it, return it. And for me, it depends on your library, but for me, I have 14 days to listen to it, which like I said, if you're listening to it at 3 times the speed, you're gonna fly through some books. I personally just really like the ease of it because you can just download it straight to your phone and boom, there's a book, and then it's gone 2 weeks later, and if you really like it, you can buy it. I'm gonna give you a little life hack here that I discovered not really by choice, but I discovered Overdrive when I was in the process of moving a lot. I was in my younger 20s and I probably moved 5 times in maybe like 7 years. And I didn't move far, I literally just kind of moved a county over and then moved another county over. So while I lived in those counties, I got library cards in all of those counties. And I know this is a different experience per state or per county, but I still have all of those library cards in my system, so I technically have 3 library catalogs that I can browse through, and some library systems are definitely way more stocked than others, so if maybe this county's library system doesn't have this title or it's a very long wait list, maybe this other county has it available sooner. So that's kind of a little life hack. So if you have multiple library cards, or if you feel like taking a drive into the next county, just apply for a library card. They're usually free. Then you get more books straight to your phone. And then I also use Audible. Audible I stayed away from for a very long time because if you've been subscribed to my channel, you know that I have a lot of subscription things rolling in every single month, and it was just kind of another fee. Like, I already pay for Netflix, do I really need to pay for audiobooks as well? But I have found that it's been extremely useful for books that I really want to read, but I really can't get myself to sit down and read. So it's $14.95 for 1 credit a month, which is not terrible considering that most audiobooks are usually around like $25. But I only use Audible for that purpose, for books that I really want to read that are not available in any of my card catalog systems in Overdrive, and I tend to kind of work the system a little bit. They do have a feature where you can buy 3 extra credits, so you can get 3 more books every month for a like discounted rate. I think it's like $35, and I'll do that for months that I'm trying to get through a ton of books. So that is a fairly good deal, but you can also subscribe to their emails where they'll send you what their daily deal is. They have 1 book every day that is discounted down to like $3, and sometimes they're good ones, most of the time they're not, but every now and then you get a good gem in there. And they also do sales a lot, and you just kind of have to catch them when they happen. It's usually, they last for a couple days to a week, and they'll discount a whole bunch of books in a certain genre. I think one of the last sales that I used was they had a whole assortment of the first book in a series discounted down to I think $4.95, which is not bad. So definitely keep an eye out for the sales and take advantage of them when they pop up. And like I said, I generally use Audible for this because that's when I usually can pick up the more intimidating books that may not be available, but that is pretty much what I use audiobooks for. It's how I get through a lot of books every single month, but it's also how to make more intimidating books somewhat more approachable. If you're looking, like I said, at Game of Thrones or some really, in my opinion, what I struggle with is really, really long, high fantasy adult novels that are like upwards of like 800-900 pages. That's hard to convince yourself to sit down with unless you have a lot of time to dedicate to it. So having an audiobook to listen to it kind of makes it go faster. I use it for that. I also use it to kind of broaden my horizons. I probably would never pick up nonfiction books. I definitely have discovered some amazing books about topics that I probably wouldn't have otherwise taken time to sit down and learn about. But I listen to audiobooks while I'm driving, while I'm doing chores. If you don't know, I have kind of a little farm, so I do a lot of barn work, like when I'm cleaning out the stalls or working with my horse. I tend to listen to audiobooks then. It's also actually a really good bonding experience. If I know there's a book that my fiance will be really interested in, but he's not very much of a reader, I'll ask if he wants to listen to the audiobook with me, and he'll usually agree because it's not like forcing him to sit down and read a book, but we'll put on an audiobook and like do a puzzle or play a game or do chores around the house. And it kind of creates a nice bonding experience without just like sitting in front of the TV all the time. You're still like going through a story together, but you're not just like staring at a screen. It's pretty nice. I've also found that if you're feeling really slumpy, you can sit down with an audiobook and play games on your phone. Just mindless, like Candy Crush, Solitaire, whatever you want to do on your phone, as long as it doesn't take much like brain power to really focus on it because your brain's focusing on the story that's going in your ears. But for some reason, that's what gets me out of slumps a lot, because I still feel like I'm accomplishing something, but I also feel like I'm sitting there playing on my phone, because let's be honest, that's a huge distraction and it's a huge issue for readers today, because you constantly feel the pull towards social media or to just playing on your phone in general. So it kind of still gives you the experience of sitting and playing on your phone, but you're actually still reading while you're doing it. So I highly recommend that. If you're feeling slumpy, try that out. It'll get you back in the reading mood. So that's my 2 cents on audiobooks. This is a big part of how I get through a lot of books in every single month. I tend to read around 100 books a year. I'm looking to kind of push that a little further this year. And audiobooks are pretty much how I do it, just because I drive a lot. When I work, sometimes I have headphones in. When I'm just doing stuff around the house, I pretty much am always somehow consuming a story, and I love it. It's really helpful to me. I hope this was somewhat helpful to you guys. If any of you have any tips or tricks with audiobooks, please leave them down in the comments. I would love to read them. Or if any of you are like avid audiobook readers like me and you listen to them at a ridiculous speed, please let me know so that I know that I'm not alone in this. That's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys are possibly listening to amazing books, and I'll see you in the next video.